Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Obviously, words have meaning, and we have to pay attention when these idiots are writing articles or when they are reading the scripts, the teleprompter, because that was written by someone. Now, that someone should be a professional, that is, a person who knows how to work with words, use semantics, grammar, and must know something about the whole issue in order to write the speech writers. When an author of an article writes that person is a professional. First, must know what he or she is talking about and ought to use the right terms in order to express his opinion, assessment, thoughts. So, that's the first point, obvious point. The second point is when we read, we can understand when the author of a speech or the author of an article wants to turn our heads left or right. That is, give a spin to the issue. Or we understand on which side that person who wrote the article stands. Very easy. Sometimes I don't have to say that I'm with this or I'm with that. I hint and I tell you, I make the arguments in a certain way that sometimes I let you know that I think that's not right and these guys are right. I give my assessment on issues, sometimes straight, sometimes just, weasel-like, because freedom of speech does not allow us to be straightforward. We have too much freedom. So in this case, we have Le Pen, Marine Le Pen. If you know who she is, she's a far-right, semi-Nazi, whatever you want to call her. Why? Because she runs against the narrative. Already you understand my position on that. I didn't have to tell you. The words I used. Now, Wilders won the elections in the Netherlands. Wilders, another far-right bad dude, okay? So, bad people here, both of them, Le Pen and Wilders. And Le Pen will congratulate and talks about Wilders' consequences of his victory. Now, someone's victory is someone else's upset. We have an article from Reuters, and you're going to understand that these people are upset that Wilders won the elections in the Netherlands, and they're going to use the right terms to let us know that that's a bad thing. Why? Because they have an agenda. Let me show you. They will quote, supposedly, or paraphrase, that's a better word, paraphrase Marine Le Pen, congratulating Wilders for his magnificent, how do you call it, victory. But Reuters makes it differently. Here it is. Reuters, Francis Le Pen says Wilders' election upset gives hope to Europe. Instead of saying Franz Le Pen says Wilders' fantastic victory gives hope to Europe. No. They picked the word upset. So that's the empty glass, not the full glass. It's so easy. Here's Marine Le Pen. Oh, you look very, very old, my lady. You are old. We are getting old, but last time when I saw a picture of you and I saw you speaking, were a little bit younger. Or at least you're just tired dealing with these idiots. So this is October 10, 2023, the picture right here. Now, Paris, French again, far-right leader Marine Le Pen on Wednesday hailed what looked like a major election victory for Dutch. The title did not say that. She hailed a victory. For Dutch and anti-EU and anti-Islam populist Geert Wilders, saying it showed people in Europe were ready to defend national identities. That's great, but I think it's too late. And in order to really defend your national identities, Europe, you have to do something very bad. Very bad. The snowball already got momentum and is already growing, and you can't stop it like that. You have to how are you going to stop it? Like this, you can't stop it. You have to destroy it somehow from within. Well, I'm going to explain what I'm talking about here. Dutch far-right politician Wilders of the Freedom Party, who has vowed to halt all immigration. Too late. That's what I'm talking about. The snowball is too late. And they, the same guys, let this allow, and you can't fix it. I will tell you. To the Netherlands was set for a victory in parliamentary elections on Wednesday, an exit poll show. Yeah, he did like 35%. No, I'm sorry, 35 seats. And he needs 76 or something like 74 to rule. And I'm quoting, congratulations to Bababab and the PVV for their spectacular performance in the legislative elections, which confirms the growing attachment to the defense of national identities, end quote. Did you see anything about upset here, like in a title? So Reuters is a bitch, okay? We knew that, but this is just an example. She doesn't say anything about that. She, as I said, she congratulates, spectacular performance, confirms the growing, all great words, but Reuters choose the negative. And I'm quoting again, it is because there are people who refuse to see their national torch extinguished that the hope for change remains alive in Europe, she said. Le Pen's party recently topped an next for... Oh, I'm going to read it. Le Pen's party recently topped an IFOP poll for next year's European elections, comfortably ahead of President Emmanuel Macron's renaissance. It's not even hard. But anyway, I mean, it's... Now, let's talk about the national identities in Europe. We're going to talk about facts. If you look in Europe, without immigration, even in the United States, if you look at the same issue. If you take immigration out, so no people coming from outside, so you don't count them as growing the population, right? You're going to realize that countries in Europe, Western Europe in general, I think almost all in Europe, they are losing population. Why? Because they don't replace it. They don't have at least 2 children on average, right? If you have 2 parents, you have 2 children, then you keep it alive. If you have 2 children and a little bit more, then you're growing. That's a fact. Now, Europe doesn't have from 2 parents, 2 children. On average is 1 child and a little bit. So they're losing population. Those people, the bad people, said, oh, we're going to bring people in so we can help you. Well, because your policies as a government suck, people are afraid to have more than 1 or 2 kids economically. I would like to have 50 kids. I like kids, but I can't afford it. Why? Because of the conditions, unless I'm a billionaire. Well, how many people are billionaires? Right? So as an average Joe in a fantastic country, I cannot afford, I mean, I can, but it's going to be very bad for them and for me. I can't afford them. I can't give them a life, a good life, or an average, a decent life. Therefore, my limit is this amount of children. So the same, these guys cannot afford, or they would not. Being, I don't know, maybe selfish, maybe, I don't want, I'd rather have a cat or a dog instead of having a child or 3 children. It's harder to take care of 3 children, but the satisfaction is much, much greater, obviously. But they don't understand it yet. Why? Because of the same bad dudes with the mass media, entertainment, school, tell you that, hey, that's fine. Just do it. Be yourself. Be selfish as much as you want. It's only you. Everybody, fuck them. So, in this case, you have the Europe cannot replace its population. So it has immigrants by the bad dudes accepting the immigrants. Immigrants come for a better life. Nothing wrong with that. With them wanting to come. My problem is with the uncontrolled immigration, because there are people who are, I don't know, have certain kind of values. People who don't have values or have certain kind, like good people and criminals, people that like to work, people that don't like to work, people who think about scheming certain things, people who don't like to scheme certain things. You meet these people in your life. I met them. And I will tell you a little story. When I had a female friend, not friend like a or a friend, I was telling her that, well, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to work more, I need to work extra hours and so on. And she started laughing and she said, you're crazy, Emil. You shouldn't think that way. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You shouldn't think of working hard. You have to be smart and get the money for not working. I was like, what? That was her attitude towards life. Getting money without working. But who's working? Someone has to produce that thing that you were going to get money from for not producing. So you're just a tick sucking the blood. That's exactly the attitude of some. So if you get more of these guys in a society, you don't want them. So you have some, I'm just giving an example. You have other kind of, life, worldviews, let's put it this way. So I'm just giving you an example what I'm talking about. So if you get people without, vetting them and knowing who's coming, then you're going to have a population that you don't know who's coming. And besides that population, and it's not me, it's studies, tens, they're going to have more than 2 children. So they will grow. Let's get Germany. Germany is not, having 2 children and 2.1 children. Without immigration, they're below that. Japan has been. The US has been. But the immigrants, even more. So they will grow. And they will grow and they will grow and they will grow. And the other guy is going to shrink, it's going to shrink, it's going to shrink. Now, if that already started, and you don't change the policies to create an environment, economic environment, social environment, for people to afford having more children, you will import other people in, they would have more children than you. Germany. I mean, if you import, let's say, I'm going to pick a country. You get some people from Honduras. Nothing against Honduras. You bring them to, let's say, Japan. And you bring over there about 10 million. If those guys were going to have 5 children, I'm exaggerating, on average, in about 3 generations, Japan, which used to be 115 million, 115, I don't know how much it is, 109 maybe right now, maybe not even, because they're decreasing. They will be just, out. You're going to be Honduran genetically. You might say, well, that's fine. Why would the Japanese say it's fine? Why would they want to do that? Why would I want to be a minority in my own country and the other one a majority? Why don't they like to be a minority? Why should I be the one? So same, the snowball right here is already growing, which is these guys are having more children and immigration is going to grow, and these guys are not replacing their stock. By not? Because they've been indoctrinating, and not only indoctrinated, they have different view. Because these guys, the immigrants, after a while they get, oh my God, I can't afford having kids. So they will get eventually to that, but the idea that I can't have more than 1 or 2 children is too much. So they will get there, but if you bring more and more and more, eventually you're going to grow that stock. So when these guys are saying, people woke up and we have to do this, it's too late. I'm going to give you a last example and I will be over. Remember that KGB agent Yuri, I can't remember his last name, who defected from India, ended up in Canada and then the United States of America, and he gave some interviews, televised interviews. I think it was in the 70s, 80s or 80s, I think it was. You remember that's you can look on YouTube, you can watch that. Yuri, KGB, defected, blah, blah, blah. Just these are the key words. And this Yuri, over there in his interview, this particular interview, I think it was a Canadian, I can't remember whomever interviewed him. He was in a gray suit, nicely, and speaking with glasses, bald head, calm. And he said, how you subvert a population, a country, from within. Very eye-opening. I mean, he explains that so clearly, he was prepared, right? How things are, how you work on doing that, and put that to what's going on in the United States of America. That was before what we see right now. So it's not like, oh, he just manufactured it right now, just looking around. And no, he did it before these signals. And he pointed out, this is just the beginning. This is the end. And he says the same thing. Even if you start right now to trying to brainwash the population with a new ideology, with a new vision of the world, it would take something very dramatic to change the course right now. And that was in the 80s. Right now, it's too late. And they know it. Too late. What can you do? Well, the snowball must be dissipated. See how nice euphemism I found? Not stopped like that. Dissipated. And eventually, if you want to have something, because they like diversity, but how do you have diversity? Not by everybody going in and it's going to be one something. If you don't keep the Swedes as they are, you keep on the planet. But you have the Swedes with the Romanians, with the Hondurans, with the Zimbabweans together. What's going to be there? There's not diversity. There's going to be one something. So that's not the diversity, actually. Diversity, if you have here Swedes, you have here French, you have here Romanians, you have here, I don't know, Zimbabweans, you have here Chinese, you have Japanese, you have Mongolians. Now, if you make them all fuck around, you're going to have nothing. You have everything of nothing. That's one of nothing. You can identify with anything. You're going to say, I'm a human being. So that's not diversity anymore. That's one, that's homogeneity of nothingness. All our connection, tribal connections are gone. Why? For those guys to lead us, to control us. What do you think is like that? If you don't have no allegiance to for your family, for your neighborhood, for your tribe, for your country, and you lose all that, what? You're going to have allegiance for what kind? Freedom and democracy? It can be used, you see how it's used. For money? For things? Exactly. And then as separate as we are, and we think we are alone, we don't communicate with one another to understand how many people think like us. They don't allow us to do this. Now it's nice with Twitter and others that you can figure, not now, but you can figure out who's who, what's what. You understand you're not alone. Actually, you are a majority. But somehow a tiny minority over there dictates who opens the door, who lets in, what do you learn in school, how much money these guys get in programs, how much money they tax you, how much money you have to donate to the military-industrial complex without being asked. You know, they just take it from your taxes, and how much you are supposed to talk. So yeah, far right. It's a little bit too late, but you know, a journey starts with the first step. We'll see. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.